Welcome back to the Student of the Game podcast. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It's free of charge. All right, so today we're going to talk about Across the Spider-Verse. All right, just saw the movie yesterday evening with the family, and let me tell you something. Guess what? We all loved it. We all loved it, man. What I love about the Miles Morales movies is that for those who get so burnt out of Spider-Man, that is possible because when you think about it, like I'm not gonna lie, man, I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man, the original Peter Parker, but a lot of times I get sick and tired of the same story being told. I remember as a kid, one of my favorite animated series that I used to love to watch. Notice I didn't say cartoon, I say animated series because I'm gonna put some respect on it. Was Spider-Man, which came on Fox, and I learned a lot watching that show. I learned about different villains, different characters in that show. That's when I first found out about Blade. Who else? Well, I was already familiar with Carnage and Venom, and the usual suspects: Doctor Ock, Green Goblin. But you had Morbius. And other cool characters in that series. And it was a grown up Peter Parker. Okay, I think he had just finished college, I believe, but it was more of a grown up Peter Parker. Now, I don't have a problem with the movies, but what it is that for me, after the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, it's like, okay, well, we got to see him in the third Spider-Man movie where he was a grown up, right? Him and Mary Jane, they're young adults. Then we have the Andrew Garfield, and what did they do? They put him back in high school, and I'm like, oh man, I'm tired of seeing the same story. Then we get the then we get the Tom Holland. What do? They put him back in high school. So for me, I'm tired of the same story being told. We all are. Everybody knows how Spider-Man came to be, and if you're unaware of it, just go watch the previous movies. Now, what I like about the Into the Spider Verse and Across the Spider Verse is that we get a little bit of dose of Peter Parker or Peter B. Parker while we're telling Miles Morales' story and also Gwen Stacy's story, and you know it's different, and I'm not saying I like it more because it's different, because a lot of people say they'll like a movie because it's different. You know, go back and look at Halloween Ends. You know how annoying it is to hear people say, "Well, I like the movie because it's different. It's not like the different Halloween movies because it's not about Michael Myers." Michael Myers is Halloween. And the thing about it is, it's okay to like something when it's different, but it has to be executed properly, right? Like, if that's the case, then, we could just call this movie Across the Spider Verse and just put some crap together. But that's not what they did with this film. I thought the animation was incredible. Now, am I an expert on animation? No, I'm not, but I loved it. Okay. The soundtrack. Oh, man. That was one thing that I was thinking about. I'm like, okay, so Into the Spider Verse had a phenomenal soundtrack, right? Let me stop saying right. It had a phenomenal soundtrack. I'm telling you that. And I'm like, I don't know how Across the Spider Verse is going to be able to top that or put out something equivalent. Well, guess what? They did. Love the music. Love the music so good that we stayed past the end credits, even though we didn't. Was already aware that there was not going to be a post credit scene. Spoiler alert, people. But the music is on point. All right. The acting, the voice acting, I love it. I love it about this movie. I mean, a whole bunch of good voice actors: Shamik Moore, Haley Steinfeld, Brian Tyree Henry, Luna Lauren Valvez, Jake Johnson, Jason Schwartzman, Issa Rae. All right, even Oscar Isaac, and Mahershala Ali, and Daniel Kaluuya. Now, this movie here, I believe, now it's a long movie. It's about 2 hours and 20 to 25 minutes long. Now, it has some little slow burn moments, but it all pays off towards the middle and the end. Okay, so I feel like it was one of those situations where there wasn't any wasted dialogue or wasted action. All right, the villain in here is the Spot. I never heard of the Spot, and I'm not familiar with the Spot. And guess what? I believe that's a great thing because I come in here, I enter it without any prejudgment from a previous animated show or movie of Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man. And the Spot, at first you don't take him serious because Miles doesn't take him serious. And that offends the Spot. That offends him. You know, he was trying to be taken serious. He saw himself as Miles Morales' rival, but Miles Morales was taunting him. He was taunting the Spot. And oh, that triggered the Spot. Triggered him so much. He said, you know what? I'm about to do everything that I can to prove to you that I'm on your level. And not just that I'm on your level, I am going to be beyond your level. How about that? And that, people, that is why when I tell my children, do not taunt people when you're in competition because you may end up creating a bigger monster than what it is you're facing. Okay? Respect your competition, respect your enemies, respect your adversaries. And that's something that Miles Morales is going to have to learn, and he did not respect him. Okay? Like, I thought that was a big key. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about that aspect of this movie, but that was big for me because I tell my kids, and I listen, that's what I believe. Hey, do not taunt the competition because when you do that, like, it could be somebody that you can defeat, but when you're disrespecting them in competition, oh man, oh, you didn't turn on a whole nother light switch that's going to take that being to a whole nother level. But Miles, hey man, I love Miles. I love Miles' character, man. I mean, it. I believe his character is just relatable, not just because he's black or because is he Dominican or Puerto Rican? I can't remember. Okay, but not just because of that, but it's just who he is. I believe that no matter what your nationality is or what your gender is, you will be able to relate to Miles. Okay, like he has a secret like all other Spider-Man, and not just Spider-Man and Spider-Women, but all other superheroes, all human beings. You have a secret that you want to tell your folks or those you love, but you don't know how they're going to to take it. All right, and also what's crazy about it is his folks know that he's hiding something, but they do not know what it is. You know, so it's real cool to see that the tension that's going on between him and his mom and his dad. It's good tension, okay? It's good drama. It's not that overly messy drama stuff. His relationship with Gwen, oh my goodness, it's man, I'm gonna tell you something. It takes a big turn in this one. I tell you, I'm telling you, like what you see in the preview doesn't show you everything about it. It takes a turn, and for a legit reason, because Miles feels betrayed. He gets betrayed by Gwen and Peter B. Parker, you know, and now Oscar Isaac, that's his name. Okay, Oscar Isaac has played Apocalypse in the X-Men Apocalypse. He's played Moon Knight. I thought he does a good job in Moon Knight, but it's just that Oscar Isaac, man, for some, I don't know if I'm the only one, but a lot of times I find him very boring. I don't know if that's what he's supposed to be in every movie he's in that I've seen, but I find him very boring. And the scenes that he was in, he plays Miguel O'Hara, it was very boring. I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, they're giving Mr. Isaac too many lines. But then it starts to pick up though. You know, when he's chasing Peter, when he's chasing Miles. So it starts to pick up. So I'm like, okay, all right, I can deal with this. But his character, I'm gonna tell you something, man. That Miguel O'Hara was getting on my nerves. Like he's just a doggone bully. And his situation, it reminds me of like if you ever seen the movie Minority Report with Tom Cruise, real great movie, came out 20 years ago. I saw it when I was in college, showing my age here. And the thing about it is they have they have you know, they had it set up where they can predict whenever you're going to do a crime. And that's kind of how it is with Miguel's AI is telling him that, well, yeah, we need for this person to die. We're not going to save this person because what happens is it'll we'll be able to save a lot of people if this person here sacrifices and dies. And they wanted Miles to sacrifice his father. And let me tell you something. My dad died about 17 years ago, and I'm gonna tell you something. If I was a superhero, or there was a way for me to save him, guess what? I'm gonna try to save him. You're gonna have to literally stop me, okay? And that means you will have to kill me. And that's for any loved one that I'm close to. Listen, I am going to try to save them. And just like any other Spider-Man and Spider-Woman, their loved ones that they wasn't able to save, it wasn't because they just sat back and listened to some freaking algorithm and chose not to save him or her. It was because they truly wasn't able to save them after doing all that they could, right? After doing all that they could. And what Miguel was trying to do, he was trying to manipulate it. How dare you tell Miles Morales, don't save your father? You got to sit this one out. No, are you serious, dude? Come on, man. But and all the other spider variants were buying into that crap, and that's why I'm like, that's not cool. That's not cool. But I'm glad that Miguel was able to get up out of there to go try to make something happen. I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens, but something happens. Now, I'm not going to lie. The whole scene where he where he went back to the wrong universe, yeah, got a little spoiler right here. I mean, he's the Prowler in another universe. Oh my goodness, that right there. I mean, that tripped me out. That caught me off guard. That caught me off guard big time. But man, and my theory behind that is that I don't think he's a bad guy in that universe because they said there's no Spider-Man. But what I do believe is I believe that his version of the Prowler is more of a superhero. I believe so. He does good. I could be wrong, but I could be right. But like I said, I'm not all too familiar with the Spot, but the Spot was pretty badass, man. Like every spot he throws, and this dude here creates a freaking universe, or you can pop out of any universe, just like how Gwen Stacy and Jessica Drew and all of them. Did I say Jessica Drew? Yeah, and all of them where they have the watch, where they can just time travel all over the place. You know what? I wonder if Miguel ever came across Deadpool, because Deadpool did some time traveling too, so that would be cool to see how that intertwines. But this movie here had a real man. You're gonna enjoy the cameos in this film. You're gonna enjoy it. From I mean, but like the first, and it's not like the first 30 minutes is slow burn. I would say after the first 30 minutes of the movie, it becomes more kind of like a slow burn type feel. And you're like, okay, okay, let's get to it. But it's a two, 2 hour and 20-minute movie. Now, prepare yourself for a cliffhanger, a la Avengers Infinity War. Okay? The cliffhanger, and it's going to go it will be resolved or continued in Beyond the Spider Verse, okay? Which is going to be the third movie of this trilogy. I believe that comes out in 2024. God, I hope so. I mean, they shouldn't make us wait no longer than a year for that, right? So prepare for something like that in the end. Kind of like if you didn't see Avengers Infinity War, I don't know anybody who hasn't, but if you're familiar with the Matrix trilogy, um, at the end of Matrix Reloaded, they had a cliffhanger, and 6 months later, you saw what happened. 6 months later, they continued the film in Matrix Revelations. Okay, but anyways, scale to 1 to 10, I'm going to give Across the Spider Verse a 9. All right, it gets a big time 9 from me. I still don't think it's better than the first one, but I give Into the Spider Verse a 9.8. You know, sometimes it's a 10. Well, yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's a 10, 9.8, 10. Might as well say 10. So I give this one a 9. Okay. I'm pretty sure when I rewatch it again, I'm probably going to give it a 9.5 because I'm pretty sure there's some things that I missed in there. But I thought it was a real good film. I mean, if you enjoy a real good family movie, and that is not just a family movie, it has got a lot of action in it, real good dialogue that is not wasted, and it tells a real good story. Okay, I feel like you're gonna enjoy this movie. Like if you enjoy Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy, Gwen Stacy, her story, and what I loved on how they did her storyline, it didn't take away from Miles' storyline. it actually was tied to Miles, okay, when they tell it. So I believe that, hey man, if you're a fan of those two characters, you're going to enjoy this movie. All right. But once again, thank you all for tuning in. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Student of the Game Podcast. Peace out. Oh, share your thoughts and tell me and let me know, what do you think about Across the Spider-Verse? I was about to say Into the Spider-Verse. Student of the Game Podcast. Peace.